Listen, I do not give a flying fuck. You prove you can count till you can put 10,000 hours in a 2-minute round. You ain't as dope as me.
We generally think more is better. For example, we say longer rounds usually beat shorter ones. We saw this when last year there was a big deal where Nitty's opponents were constantly showing up with much more material than him, and on the other side, people were celebrating Tay-Rock for showing up with super long rounds to small leagues. But in the creative fields, the truth is usually the opposite. Less is more. This is an idea Madflex touches on against Mike P. The better you get as a writer, you learn to condense ideas more tightly. Madflex is a veteran with over a decade of experience in nearly 50 battles, and is one of the best pens out right now. Let's unpack his writing ability, looking at the different ways he uses a simple pattern to package his attacks. Third round against A-Ward.
Days the Ativan had bad exchanges with the Vicodin. Days I couldn't practice because I had to save a life again. Days the radiation didn't work, but the Heimlich did. You couldn't live my life.
It's a really simple pattern. It's just 3 lines, each starting with the same phrase. In poetry, that phrase would be called a refrain, and it serves to either raise drama or emphasize an idea. Part of why it works here is the same reason. Flex had led up to this point, bringing up Ward canceling on Ilmac.
Let's talk about how basic your life is. How you know you got it easy when you don't even prepare for when the negative times hit. You canceled on Ilmac with 3 days left, somehow stayed off the plane and still managed to be labeled a flight risk.
He then brought up his own track record.
I'm no battle rap beacon of righteousness. I'm just built to be a better guy than this. I've had 2 chokes in 4 years. I didn't even mind the shit.
Which sets the stage for him to get into this pattern to show what he's faced in this time. The repetition really digs into how long he struggled with all of this. Each time he uses the repetition, it creates a bigger separation between the professionalism that he goes about battle rap with versus A-Ward. It also has the added effect of telling the crowd, this is all one piece and it's building up to something. Wait for the punch. So once he hits that 3rd line and breaks away from the pattern, it signals the audience to react. Combining the vivid imagery of the final line with the signal that the pattern gives to the audience, it makes sense that there's such a big pop here. 3rd round versus Bill Collector.
Congrats, Bill, you modified a verb. Congrats, Bill, you got a style that's popular with nerds. Congrats, Bill, you said a bunch of bullshit so fast the slow processors felt a lot smarter than they were. What you think was gonna happen?
This time, we're at KOTD's S1 tournament. Madflex and Bill are considered the top 2 contenders for the $100,000 prize, and so this is a big battle for him. As a result, Madflex brings out the refrain again, except this time it's sarcastic, talking down on the new style that Bill Collector turned up to the tournament with.
Arms up, big wheel, toy with me, kids meal, the quickest picker up, bounties whenever shit spill.
In this round, Madflex brought up Bill, saying he'd elevated his pen once he realized his mom saw him as a failure.
You had a beautiful bar that said, wanna know when I took my pen to the other side? It was the day I found out I was a failure in my mother's eyes.
Taking this into account makes each Congrats Bill dig a little deeper as he breaks down Bill's new style as empty and unimpressive, and not the elevation that Bill describes it as. I can't find this now, but Madflex said later that one of the judges told him that he kept getting docked points for being indirect. I think this pattern is also Madflex's response to that feedback. It creates a flow that gives a sense of structure to the attack, while letting Madflex still be as direct as possible. As a result, he's able to put together a style breakdown that is simple and extremely effective. Madflex doesn't end up winning this battle, but this round is probably one of his best, not just in the tournament, but in his career. 3rd versus Jay the Nightwing.
Cause in the house of hip hop, they beat the rug and find the mess. In the house of hip hop, they keep the gutters nice and swept. In the house of hip hop, they reaching up to wipe the bench.
This is the pocket that made me want to look at this pattern. Unlike the other times he's used the refrain, this time the whole pocket is just a setup. He's not bringing it to a haymaker, he's just laying the groundwork so that he can bring his angle to a point. The angle in question here is Jay the Nightwing's history of choking in battles.
What did I expect? Choke so much that you would think he rung around the neck. Choke so much that URL don't wonder why you left.
At the same time, it sets up a defense for the angle that white battlers get hit with a lot of being a guest in black culture. These are generally two pretty common approaches that come up in battle rap, so I think part of the reason he uses this pattern is to give a fresh spin to something that we've heard quite a bit. It also gives a bounce to his flow that I think is the only reason he gets away with saying the house of hip hop without sounding corny. As I mentioned, the refrain's a poetic device, and so here it gives a poetic vibe to the pocket that I think helps give this idea legs so that he can carry the imagery of cleaning the house. With that established, he's then able to transition into comparing Jay to his contemporaries.
You know who's clean out here? I'll tell you, Jay. Rum and Shine and Rex, Lux and Ice and Ness.
And ultimately, he's able to close the point strongly.
But if Jay can't keep the house clean, do not talk to me like I'm an uninvited guest. Respect yourself.
Madflex isn't the only battler to repeat a phrase a few times, but I haven't seen anyone use this device so effectively in so many different ways. I especially don't see something like that be used purely as a setup. Usually if you're doing something that noticeable, you're going to bring it to a punch. The confidence and execution that he displays with this pattern, which is basically just starting 3 lines with the same thing, shows a level of expertise that even many top pens don't display. You can watch any Madflex battle and see 100 other reasons why he is one of the best pens, but I thought this was one of the most interesting ones you might never notice. Thanks for watching.